Hello again, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Last Cast Adventures. I am your host, Daniel, and this episode is pretty cool sort of deal. So there's this doctor who actually brings rainbow trout into a little pond that he has. Now it only happens in the winter time, obviously, because that's when it's coldest up here in Tallahassee, and when it gets too hot, trout don't live very well in warmer water, so they die. So he brings them in. Obviously they are fed, so it's not like the hardest thing, it's a stocked pond. But he opens it to fly fishermen only. So if you don't know how to fly fish, sucks. Either learn or get out there and practice. But if you are a fly fisherman, do it. I mean, it's cool. You go out there and there's no bait. You're not using anything like that. You're just using flies and catching rainbow trout. So I turned this into a two-part series because I went 2 different times, obviously, so it kind of makes sense. Both days were cold and overcast, which I heard were the best conditions because they do like the colder water. And on those days, hey, if you freeze a little bit but you're catching fish, it's still pretty fun. So in this video, I did have some luck. I managed to take one home because it was bleeding, and not much you can do about that when he's bleeding from the lungs, or the gills, I guess. Sorry, word slip. But anyway, it was just really, really fun. Otherwise I'd have to go up to at least North Georgia to find some trout in streams, which definitely is on the list to do. And I want to get some browns and brook trout and pretty much all those fish I haven't caught. But for right now, I stuck with the rainbows at this stocked pond. Thank you to my loyal subscribers. As always, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to it. And just sit back and enjoy the action. Thanks, guys.
Now, the fly of choice that is usually what majority of people use is either a black or a brown woolly bugger. Now, I was fresh out of those, and since the time I owned flies, I wasn't about to go buy one. So I made this weird sort of pattern that was kind of like a woolly bugger, but it really wasn't. It was peach colored, and I don't know, not my best creation, but seemed to actually catch the fish. So in reality, that's all that matters when you're fishing, right? Not having necessarily the pretty flies, but at least catching the fish. At least in my book, That's just my opinion. I brought along my 8-weight and my 4-weight fly rod. I wasn't sure which one I was going to use, but I ended up using my 4-weight the whole time. Pretty much was even with these fish, although they were pretty hefty and well fed for sure. So this is definitely kind of like pulling on a tank sort of deal when he's going the other way. And I was using, I think it was 8-pound tippet. Obviously varies a little bit from when you're actually stream fishing, but that's not as hard as when you're in the stream and trying to fool some wild caught fish. But it worked. I normally don't use nets at all when I'm catching fish. As you guys have seen, I just kind of pull them up, lip them, take out the hook, and put them back. Well, in this case, trout are a lot more of a delicate species, so you actually have to net them, keep them in the water as best as possible, and just kind of try to keep them alive. Well, this guy, even though the hook didn't get down very far, ended up bleeding from his gills, and the rule is, if it bleeds, keep it. So I brought a cooler just in case this happened, and it's kind of not ideal conditions to actually net a fish because there's so many sticks and there's all this weird green algae, and yeah, wasn't gonna make it, so I decided to just keep it anyway, and that's why he's out of the water here.
And there she is, guys. Whoa.
Oddly enough, I had actually given up on this particular spot, so I was reeling in the line and I was changing spots when had I had someone to net her for me, the fight would have been over right about here. But I wasn't able to really get anyone to net, so she fought a little bit longer. Speaking of the net, though, I didn't want a repeat of what happened the first time, so I decided just to kind of bring her up into the shallow weeds where there's some water here, just try to snap a few pictures, take the hook out, and then gently release her.
Hey guys, so bonus part to this episode is you get to see me clean that trout. Now, I've never cleaned a freshwater trout before, and I really don't clean any fish because I always find bones. So we're going to kind of go through this together and stick around and see how I do. Who knows, it might be really good, it might be absolutely terrible. So what you first do is prepare the sink. You have your cutting board here, you have your knives over here, you have your place you're going to be cutting it, which is behind the camera. And once you have a clear sink, you should remove any jewelry, in this case my wedding ring and my watch, because that'll get all fishy and smelly and nobody wants that. Alright, now pull out your nice trout, which has been marinating in ice. So it has not been marinating. And it's actually so freaking cold. Put the heat on. And you take this thingy out. Now you have to disinfect. Alright, so because, well, here's the fish. trout got a little stiff. There we go. Now trout are very oily fish. So they have, not on the inside, but the outside. Well, slimy, I guess is the better word for it. So, not too hot. Just warm enough to take that slick off. And you do the other side as well. So now you want to make sure you have everything, your trash bag for all your remains, which it's not a bad idea to always have another trash can nearby. And then your knives, depending on which one you want to use. These are simple Bass Pro filleting knives. And voila, there is our guest of honor. Like I said, I do not have experience cutting trout. I really don't fillet much, so please give me a break. In retrospect, it wasn't terrible. You guys can't even see that. There you go. It wasn't terrible. I mean, both sides are pretty evenly taken out.
Yes, I know. It kind of sucked. Like I said, I don't fillet fish. But, you know, if you have any comments on there, please keep them to yourself. My self-esteem is high enough already on my filleting side of things. But, yeah, whatever. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And please subscribe if you haven't already. And please look forward to the next 2 videos that are also going along with this. Thanks, guys.